All right, I hope you're having a good Thursday. Can't believe this week has flown, but it kind of has. And thanks for your reading notes in this past chapter. This past week, we looked at youth sports and a couple of articles that illustrated, first of all, the idea of what play is or isn't. And then we looked at a couple of articles comparing what they called big man bias and hierarchy bias. So I just wanted to, I've graded your discussion questions, and I just wanted to go over with you kind of what I saw and talk about it with you. So the very first one, you were asked to compare and contrast the concept of Little League as it was presented in that Davies article with the way he thinks of it as either play or not play. And then also use the more classic definition of play that we looked at in the Ibrahim article. So yes, Davies sees Little League as less of a play activity because it's dictated by adults and heavily structured by adults. It wouldn't exist if adults didn't kind of have this highly structured process of Little League. So if adults, not even the participants, if adults over-engineer Little League, then it's not really providing play value. And that's kind of why Davies said it wasn't play. It's because it wasn't spontaneous. It was driven by adults, not the kids themselves who participated. And some of you said, yes, it was play, and you cited Ibrahim's definition of play, which is a little broader. Davies mentioned that it wasn't play because it was organized by adults. Ibrahim didn't say that. So, that was the way that those definitions were a little different. So maybe you could consider it play according to Ibrahim's definition, but not according to Davies's definition. So that was cool that you could kind of compare and contrast those definitions and pick the one that fit how you saw Little League or how Davies described Little League. Or maybe you didn't define Little League as play, and I saw a couple of those too, because both Ibrahim and Davies, they cited the themes of play being spontaneous, not planned, or pre-organized. And a good answer cited elements of both of these definitions and compared and contrasted what play is or isn't. One of the best arguments that I heard from you on why it was play is that children chose it of their own free will, and I think that matches what Ibrahim was saying, that it's by choice, it's the participant's choice. So that was a great way to kind of pick that up from that definition and use it to support the idea of play. So anyway, I think it's interesting to kind of argue based on some of the various definitions what play is or isn't. So thanks for your answers on that. And then the last question we asked looked at a couple of articles in which we looked at the concept of what they called big man bias and then hierarchy bias. So in that Messner and Musto article, they were talking about the big man bias in social science and sport research, and that it's pretty much that the visible and more highly talented players or subjects get all the attention. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, or so then we end up studying the more visible people in our society more, so then we understand them better, and we assume that everyone else does that too. And so maybe that creates a bias in our research. And also they talked about how in sport, the gap between those who play youth sport and those who don't play youth sport is widening a little bit because youth sports are getting more expensive. So the idea that, kind of like in sport research, the idea that in youth sport, the wealthier kids get to play, therefore the wealthier kids get better. Therefore, the wealthier kids play more, that they're better, while the kids that aren't as wealthy may have to sit on the sidelines, and then their skills don't develop as quickly as the wealthier kids. So that's kind of the issue on a macro level, a bigger level in society. And then the Landers and Fine article about the hierarchy bias kind of brings it down to a micro level or within a team. And we can see this illustrated within a team, in that some kids get to play, they start every time, they play the whole game. When it's close, they don't get subbed out. And then the players that aren't as good, they never get to start. They sit on the bench more. And so the good players keep getting better because they get more practice and more coaching. And the less good players don't get as better as quickly because they're sitting on the bench or not getting coaching or not getting those playing experiences. So, getting reps, getting playing time is one thing that really makes you better. So, anyway, I was really happy with what I saw in these reading notes, and the reasons why are that you discussed in detail what I asked you to discuss. You brought up elements and definitions from both readings and compared and contrasted. They weren't short answers that that didn't really argue different sides that were presented in various readings. They were comprehensive. They used specific examples in the readings, and they used citations. So yes, I'm looking for your thoughts and opinions, but I'm also looking for these opinions to have a basis in our readings, and I saw quite a bit of that, and so it really gave me the impression, it let me know, gave me the evidence that you did your reading and you thought about it. You pulled those definitions out, you compared and contrasted, you thought about them, and you applied them to a real life situation. So make sure you keep using your in-text citations so that if they're not your words or your ideas, I know where they came from. I can see that you pulled it out of the article and that you're able to use it. So that's kind of what's important in discussion questions for me anyway. And if you've had me in class before, you're kind of used to that. So I just really wanted to say good job on this first round, and I appreciate that. So just wanted to talk that through with you. I hope you're having a great week and have a good weekend.